Hi, I'm Jennifer Fellinger, and I'm doing my video project on the professional responsibility of a teacher. One of the first questions you asked in the assignment was, explain the professional responsibilities of a teacher and which of these you will need to focus on. So after going and finding what those responsibilities were, I made a list. First responsibility to me, which seemed to be the most important, is to protect the students from conditions that would be detrimental to their learning. Health and safety. Classroom cleanliness is one of those things that I think is very important to keep them from getting sick, just maintaining a general tidiness. And then safe conditions in and out of the classroom. No running in the rain, slipping and falling, playground safety, and in the classroom safety, following rules and making sure those rules represent keeping those kids safe. Another responsibility was to present the facts without distortion, bias, or prejudice. If I put my own opinion or my own bias on something I'm teaching, the students will inevitably probably follow more of what I believe instead of what they believe. So our job is to allow the students to come to their own conclusions about the topic that is being taught. A teacher comes from a position of public trust and should measure the student's success by how the students measure their own personal potential and what kind of citizen they are for the community. For example, kindness. How can we be kind to our fellow students? Having manners, please and thank you, excuse me. Compassion. When somebody gets hurt, stop. Say, hey, are you okay? Showing respect for not only the teachers but the other adults that are at the school, as well as the other students. Me also showing respect for those students. And then also promoting responsibility. We're responsible for our own choices. And then having them learn that life lesson. So having them understand that their potential is great, and then having them understand what their part of the community is very important. Never, ever intentionally embarrass or humiliate a student. That is a cardinal rule. You should never, ever try to make a student feel smaller or worse than it just should never happen. A teacher will not disclose any information about students outside of the learning environment and the professionals that work in that environment. So through collaboration, we do talk about our students. When we do assessments and state testing, we talk with other professionals in the school district about our students, be it the speech therapist, the other teachers that help us figure out ways to help our students be more successful. That's okay, but talking to a parent about another student or any of that is never acceptable. Let's see. A teacher represents the school in how they present themselves, act, and teach. And those decisions are reflected to their students. So if a teacher looks professional, should be treated more professionally. Students will reflect that. So if we act professionally, then the students will act professionally as well, hopefully, all things being equal. A teacher will contribute to the community of the school through volunteering for dances, field trips, sports, parent club activities. There's a whole bunch of things that that build the community of the school, and teachers sometimes are the lifeblood of that. The biggest thing that I think I will have in these responsibilities, I think this is the biggest point I will have a problem with, because I still have a family with children, and being able to balance my volunteering or contributing to the community of the school and my family is going to be, I think, a bit of a difficulty for me, so I'm going to have to try to find a balance. And then maybe as the children leave the house and they grow, I can add more responsibility in that area. But for now, it's probably not going to be as much as I'm sure they would like. To be an effective teacher, teachers need to provide a safe, comfortable environment for their students in order for them to learn. Teachers also need to motivate and encourage those students and create an environment that does that, so that they can feel successful in their progress. Respect between the teacher and the students are important for the students to learn. If they know you don't respect them, they know you don't like them, they're not going to want to learn or please you. Kids like to please their adults in their life, and they want to make you happy. So if you don't show them the same respect and kindness they show you, then they're not going to want to perform or do anything for you. So we need to act and treat them with respect, and then we'll get that respect back. Just through earning that respect is through trust and understanding where those students come from. Some of them come from trauma, and that trust is hard earned, so you have to build that relationship with them so you understand where they're coming from and what they need from you. Collaborations with fellow teachers builds a really great supportive environment wherever you are. Sometimes collaborations with other teachers don't go as well as we'd like, but I think a lot of it is attributed to how much we put into the collaboration. If we come in with an open mind and are willing to participate and add to the conversation and the ideas, then the collaboration will be a lot more effective for us. But also keeping an open mind and realizing that we don't have all the answers, and that's okay, and that's how we learn. The next question was, let's see, state and national standards. Now, the national standards were developed by a group of teachers that were really good group of teachers. So there's developed by teachers for teachers. The national standards have 5 propositions that are developed by a committee who identify specific knowledge, skills, and attitudes that support accomplished practice while emphasizing a holistic nature of teaching. Now, I took that right off the website that talked about the national standards. It also will illustrate how teachers teach professional teachers. Gosh, I'm saying that wrong. It's sort of how teachers' professional judgment is reflected in action and described how the students come to life in different settings. The state standards actually very closely mirror those 5 main propositions of the national standards. The state standards, although, will go into more depth on what those standards should be, and each state will probably have a little bit different standards, but if they follow the national standards, they more than likely will be a pretty good mirror to each other. One of the state program standards, I looked them up, was engaging and supporting all students in learning. Connecting to students' backgrounds and their prior knowledge and life experiences will help us understand how and what interests the students and how to teach them. Students that come from a more low income have a different type of life experiences than middle income or upper income students do. Those students may be more involved in sports and community things where the lower income students may not. So understanding where your students are coming from and what their life experiences are like will help us adjust the teaching strategies to promote what those lessons should be. Also, we need to obviously also adjust teaching strategies when necessary to promote critical thinking through inquiry and reflection. So engaging the students and supporting them through all of those is one of the first standards that was discussed. The next one is creating and maintaining effective environments for students to learn. Classroom management is a big thing. Understanding behaviors, understanding how to handle those behaviors, having a clear set of rules and consequences for those behaviors, being able to maintain classroom routines and procedures, but also at the same time supporting a positive behavior and a positive learning environment will make it a lot easier for these students to learn. Stability is a big thing in classroom management. Also, we want to help them have social development and understand responsibility. The next one was understanding and organizing subject matter for students to learn. Teachers need to know the subjects that they're teaching, and they need to know how to teach them. That is the biggest thing. Understanding the contents of the curriculum frameworks and demonstrate an organization of curriculum, being able to parlay that into lessons for the students so that they understand the subject matter. Using the materials that are appropriate or supplied by the curriculum, supplementing those materials for students who are maybe struggling or are far advanced past that part of the curriculum, supplementing the instruction, I think, is kind of important in that area. Planning instruction and design learning experiences for all students. Okay, so we need to establish and articulate goals for students' learning, as well as developing long-term and short-term instructional plans. There's trimester benchmarks. There's the year, what they need to know by the end of the year. That's long-term. The first trimester might be short-term. We might even go into what they need to know in the first month. All of those also need to be laid out so we know where our students are, and assessing them so we make sure that they're reaching all of those goals. You need to adapt instructional plans and curriculum materials to meet the assessed needs of all students, as well as planning instructions that incorporate the learning needs of all students. So some students learn faster than others. Some might have disabilities. Like in one of my classes, I have a nonverbal student who is still struggling to write. So we have to adjust what we're teaching so that he can understand what it is. We also may have students that are not able to comprehend what they're doing, so we have to adjust how we explain it to them. There's many different needs that these students have, and we need to adjust how we teach the instructional material to them. Assessing students for learning. If we don't assess, we don't know where they are at. And we don't know how well they're doing, or if they're not doing well at all. So understanding the different ways to assess students that is appropriate for the grade level. Collect and analyze the data to help make better informed lessons, and review data individually and with colleagues to monitor student learning. Use data to reassess learning goals and modify instruction. We just got done doing a big testing for our kindergartners, and we found that they were broken into 4 separate groups. There was the ones that were high functioning, there was the ones that were at or a little bit above where they should be at this time of year, and then there was the ones that are almost there, and then there's the ones that are not even getting there. So we went through, the teacher and I went through, and we assessed how we were going to accomplish getting all of those students where they needed to be for the year. And that's just, and we wouldn't have been able to do that had we not done the assessments for them. Developing as a professional educator. In order to do that, we need to establish professional goals and continue to develop ways to reach those goals. One of those ways of doing that is by reflection. How am I doing? How could I have done it better? How could I have gotten better information? And just reflecting on the teaching practices that you're doing and reevaluating your personal goals. You may not be putting enough technology into the lesson. You may be using too much technology. How can I reevaluate that? Collaborating with fellow teachers creates a broader professional community for support and student learning. Working with families to support student learning and engage local communities in supportive instructional programs. Being able to talk with the families about your concerns, their concerns, where the children are at, trying to encourage them to make sure they're doing their homework, and all of those things. It's very important to have that relationship with the family. You need to manage professional responsibilities to maintain, motivate, and commit to all students. They come in with, we have our own families, we have stress, we have time management issues in our own life and in the classroom, and we need to find a balance in all of those. And by doing that, we need to also remember that we need things as well. And to do that, we need to then reevaluate and then again reflect on how we can manage all of that. Always demonstrate professional responsibility, integrity, and ethical conduct when meeting professional obligations put forth by the school district, state, and federal policies and guidelines. Responsibility to our career, our job, making sure we're doing everything that we need to do to make those students succeed, having integrity, making sure we're acting ethically, and maintaining a personal, professional, just being more professional and producing a person and looking professional, and making sure that we are acting professional at all times. The next thing we need to talk about was explain why continuous professional development is important and how you might accomplish this development. in order for teachers to continue to teach effectively, they need to learn and grow. So in order to do that, we have to continually always be learning. Through professional development with school collaboration, a new teacher is given the experience of many teachers to pull on from their ideas. I'm struggling in this area. Can you give me an idea how to maybe do it differently? Having a mentor teacher will help the new teacher, or for that fact, any teacher, accomplish a higher quality of teaching that will ultimately benefit the students. Teachers should also go to workshops and seminars to gain further knowledge of their job and help them incorporate new ideas and trends in their classroom instructional methods. There's curriculum workshops where you go and you learn about the curriculum and how to better teach it, and then there's other teachers there that share ideas on how they managed it. All of those things help us learn and grow. I'm sorry, I have a cold, so if I'm kind of horsey, that's why. To further their knowledge in different subjects, the teacher may also take a course through their college, their local college or university. If they want to expand their knowledge in more child development or nutrition or any of those things, they could take another course through their colleges. Reading articles and books on teaching practices will give a teacher a different perspective and more information on how to teach their students. My goal is to continue to learn every day, whether it's through collaboration with other teachers. I will definitely be attending seminars and workshops. I will continually be trying to learn more about my students and how to teach them. I had the opportunity to take a student trauma or childhood trauma workshop where we learned about what trauma is for these students and how they handle it in their brains and how chemically they manage it. And that made a huge difference in how I approached them every day and how I incorporated that trust and respect every day for those students. The next question you asked was, explain the advantages and disadvantages of using technology in the classroom. Technology is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Children as young as 5 years old already know how to use an iPad, and they already know how to surf the net. Sometimes I actually had a 5-year-old who was able to go on Google and ask a question. It was crazy. It surprised me. Technology can promote independent learning and collaboration, depending on the age group that will have to be regulated. 4th graders should be able to go on and look for information on a subject that they need to do research on. Technology in the classroom can also be used as a supplement to a lesson. It could be used to perfect what they're trying to learn. It's just more of a support. Having a Promethean in the classroom, we can show live videos of like a zoo. So right now we're studying polar bears in the kindergarten class. We go to the San Diego Zoo Camp, and we turned it on, and we were able to watch the polar bears, and the kids loved it. That's technology in the classroom. It can be used to engage and motivate those students to learn. It can support the lessons and allow the students to kind of work at their own pace, and it connects with their everyday lives. They use it every day. It's in their lives. The disadvantages is that sometimes teachers can rely too much on technology, and they forget the old school ways of manipulatives and hands-on learning, and they rely too much on the technology. The older students, it can promote academic dishonesty, cheating, and other things, and that just has to be monitored. Cyberbullying for the older kids, that's never a good thing. And like I said, methods of teaching are bypassed. We need to remember that technology is there to support the lessons and teaching, but it is not there to be the teaching or to do the teaching for us. We need to make sure that we're in control of that, and we just use it for support. I think that covered just about all the questions that were on the assignment. I want to thank you for being such a great teacher, and this is my first video, so I was quite nervous about this, but I'm hoping you enjoyed all the information I gave you, and have a good night, and I hope to see you in the future. Thank you.